Hey everyone, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel, Rogers Reads. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope that you'll subscribe down below because I'd love to get to know you and have you join and be a part of my bookish friend community. So today I'm going to be telling you about all the books that I'm hoping to finish by the end of this year. It's kind of crazy, but I think I can do it. So I'm going to start with a reread of Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. I read this when I was in high school. I really enjoyed it back then. I want to give it another try and see what I think. This is one of the books that I talked about in one of my first videos I did was books I want to reread, and this was one that I really wanted to reread, and I still haven't gotten to it, so I hope I can finish it by the end of the year. The Winter of Our Discontent by John Steinbeck. I love John Steinbeck, and I haven't read any in a couple years, so I want to read this by the end of the year if possible, just because I want to read a John Steinbeck this year, and this seems like a pretty short one that I can probably get through. Next, I would like to read Black and Blue, Inside the Divide Between the Police and Black America by Jeff, I can't remember how to say his last name, Pegues? I can't remember. Anyway, so this was sent to me by the publisher for review. Next, I added Lucky in Love by Kasie West to the stack, basically because I know I can read it really fast. This is an ARC, but I picked it up at my library book sale, so I'm not required or expected to review it, but I like Kasie West. They're fun, they're quick. I can read them in like 3 hours. So it'll be an easy thing to read, finish, get off my shelf. Next, I want to read Kindred by Octavia Butler. I did read the graphic novel at the end of last year and really enjoyed it, so that kind of prepped me and gave me a little bit of insight into what this book is, but I know this is going to go into a lot more detail. I want to read it, first of all, because it's been on my bookshelf for a really long time, and second, because I think it's an important book in African American literary history, and one of my goals for this year was to fill in a lot of the holes in my literary knowledge from African American. A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I have not read any V.E. Schwab yet. This trilogy sounds hella interesting. I love the idea of parallel universes, and I'm going to be reading this with Riley from RM FicFac next month in October. I'm going to be reading this with Riley, so that's why it's on my stack. Next, After You by Jojo Moyes. I read and loved Me Before You. It just broke me and ruined me, and it was just beautiful, and this has been on my shelf almost since I read that, which I read that early in 2016, so it's been over a year. I think it's probably been long enough where I won't feel too hurt or disappointed or anything from whatever happens in this. I don't know if it's possible for it to measure up to Me Before You, but since it's been on my shelf for a long time, and I just saw on Goodreads that number 3 is going to be coming out, I want to read this and find out if I'm interested in continuing in the series. If you've been with my channel for a while, you are probably sick of seeing this book and hearing me say that I need to finish it. Book of American Martyrs by Joyce Carol Oates. But for whatever reason, I think with just all the books that I've had to read this year and wanted to read, and other things I've participated in, and readathons, and books to review, I just cannot seem to get myself through this book. I really want to finish it. It's really good. I just haven't finished it, and I need to finish it, and if I don't pick it back up soon, I'm probably gonna take the bookmark out, put it on the shelf, wait a year or so, and then start all over. So yeah, I really want to finish it. Swing Time by Zadie Smith. I just have not gotten to it, and it is on the Man Booker long list for this year. I'm not sure how soon they're coming out with the short list, but I was hoping to get it read before the short list comes out. I only owned 2 books that were on the long list, The Underground Railroad and this. Next, A Game of Ghosts by John Connolly. This was a BookSparks book that I received over the summer, and I read like 2 pages, and again, this is just one of these books that I know that I'll be able to read and pass on, because even if I enjoy it, it's just probably not going to be the type of book that I'll hold on to for a reread, and I've never read a John Connolly, so I would like to read it and make room on my shelves, basically. Now we're getting into the stack of ARCs and books that I've received for review this year that I just haven't gotten to because I overestimated how much I could read, and some of these books are going to be familiar. You might have seen them in hauls, or you might have seen them in a past TBR, which I don't really do TBRs, like monthly TBRs anymore, because as soon as I make the TBR, I'm like, nope, not going to read it, doesn't interest me anymore, and so yeah. So these are ARCs and books I've received for review this year that I haven't done yet, that I really just want to get them out of the way in 2017, so they're not like, so I don't have this like stress following me around of all these ARCs that I have not reviewed yet. I want to have a fresh start next year, because in 2018 I am only going to be requesting books that like I've already heard of, or like favorite authors, or that kind of thing, because this year I was kind of requesting everything that sounded even remotely interesting to me. So this one is actually another BookSparks book for the Fall Reading Challenge. Good Me, Bad Me by Ali Land. I believe this just came out, and I would like to read it, first of all, because they're expecting me to read and review it for BookSparks, but also because it's a thriller, it's another psychological one. The author actually graduated with a degree in mental health and spent a decade working as a child and adolescent mental health nurse. So I am really looking forward to this. I love psychology and mental health, and I love psychological thrillers or psychological suspense that actually, where the author actually knows what they're talking about. So I'm really looking forward to this. The main character's mother is a serial killer, and she's like in witness protection, and I guess she's trying to figure out her own mental health, and she's afraid that she wants to know if she's going to turn out like her mother, and like, does she have like murderous tendencies or something like that. So yeah, that sounds really interesting, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Next, we have The Life Between Us. This one doesn't come out until January 2018, so I feel a little less pressure about it, but I still want to read it this year. This has something to do with it talks about like you're going to assume that this is about a jealous wife, and you're going to think you know what's going on, but you really don't, which is just the best kind of thriller, because you don't want to know what's going on in when you're reading a thriller. You want to be like surprised, or at least I do. I like it when they trick me. So I'm looking forward to this one. The Life Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. The Stolen Marriage by Diane Chamberlain. I just mentioned this in my summer book haul, so I'm not going to go into details again. But it's kind of like it sounds like it might be slightly spooky, creepy, confusing, weird. Want to know what's going on. I don't know if it's considered, I think it's just considered like women's fiction. but maybe slightly thriller, suspense-esque. So, yeah. And this one comes out next month in October. An American Family by Khizr Khan, nonfiction. I also talked about this in one of my recent summer book hauls. The Exact Nature of Our Wrongs by Janet Puri. This was also in one of my summer book hauls. Okay, now, I believe I read The Lace Reader by Brunonia Barry several years ago, and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't hold on to it. And then I recently won a copy of The Fifth Petal by Brunonia Barry, and I believe these are, like, I don't know if they're companion novels or if this is like an actual sequel. I think that I've heard that it doesn't really matter what order you read them in or if you've read this one. But I really still want to reread The Lace Reader because it's been a long time. I remember enjoying it, but I really don't remember a whole lot. So I want to reread The Lace Reader and then read The Fifth Petal. Yeah. Does anyone know? I know that I've heard that your chances of winning ARCs or books on Goodreads goes up when you review books often, which I do. But I have not won any books since I've won this, and I haven't reviewed this yet. So I'm wondering if my chances of winning books goes down because I have not reviewed the one book that I have won. Does that make sense? Anyway, so if you know anything about that, let me know. So that's another reason that I want to hurry up and read and review this, because I think it might improve my chances of winning more books on Goodreads, because God knows I need more books. Next is The Orphan's Tale. I always want to call it The Orphan Train. The Orphan's Tale by Pam Jenoff. This is a World War II story. I love World War II stories, and as you're going to see, I requested like 3 World War II stories in a row, and I have not read or reviewed any of them. So yeah, this is 16-year-old Noah has been cast out in disgrace after becoming pregnant by a Nazi soldier and being forced to give up her baby. She lives above a small rail station, which she cleans in order to earn her keep. When Noah discovers a boxcar containing dozens of Jewish infants bound for a concentration camp, she is reminded of the child that was taken from her. And in a moment that will change the course of her life, she steals one of the babies and flees into the snowy night. So I've heard great things about it. If you've read it, let me know what you thought down below. And another World War II story, The Women in the Castle. This one sounds great. And this is the third, My Last Lament. This one sounded a little different. It's a Greek woman's epic struggle to tell the story of her own and her nation's past in the aftermath of World War II. And it has something to do with Greek folk art, and an American researcher asks the aging Aliki to record her laments. In response, Aliki sings her own story, a tale of tragedy and betrayal. So it sounds interesting. It sounds like something unique. And again, I've heard great things, so I'm looking forward to getting through that. Tell Me How This Ends Well by David Samuel Levinson. This is about a Jewish family and their trials and tribulations to relate to one another, and family issues and the political climate that's going on currently in the background of the story. And yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this out, and I just haven't picked it up yet, and it came out in April. Then I also have holds on new releases. Water in May by Ismay Williams. She is a Cuban-American pediatric cardiologist, and Water in May deals with a teenage mom who finds out that her unborn baby has a major heart defect, which I'm pretty sure is HLHS, hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which is what My first child passed away from at 1 week old, and I have a really hard time finding good representation of congenital heart defects in fiction. So since Ismay Williams is a pediatric cardiologist, I'm really hoping and expecting that this will be dealt with realistically. And then the second book that I have a hold on is Dear Martin by Nikki or Nick. I don't remember her last name, but it is about a young black man who is a really good student and headed to Howard University, or racially profiled and arrested, wrongly arrested or something like this occurs, and he starts writing, he like starts some sort of like personal project, where he's trying to live as Martin Luther King would have, and I think he's writing letters to Martin Luther King, obviously like for himself or as some sort of school project or something, and it sounds really interesting, really timely. Comes out in October, and I have a hold on it at the library. So those are all the books I'm hoping to finish before the end of the year. I'd love to hear what your predictions are for me, and if you think that I will be able to read all of these books, which books you think I should try to read first. This is also keep in mind that I also have the Spookathon that I'll be participating in. I don't know how many of these books, or if any of these books will work for Spookathon, and I will also be participating in Borrowathon in November. Keep an eye out on my channel, just a little, can't say anything yet, but keep an eye out on my channel for information about the Borrowathon. But yeah, obviously these are all my books. I won't be able to use these for Borrowathon. Do you think I've given myself too many books to try to get through? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and click the little bell so that you'll get notifications. Don't click the bell, you'll just get like random whenever YouTube decides to let you know. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.